How's everybody doing?
Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, and welcome in the house. Man, we got a lot. I'm really dying to get on a cruise ship, Michelle. I mean, we're seeing all of our friends on the BBD. I mean, we're glad you guys are here. Don't get me wrong,
Absolutely.
but yeah, thanks for dropping in tonight and spending a little time with us. I think we're going to have a great show tonight.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bahamas. We're going to go through the Carnival excursions, and then we're going to do some non-Carnival excursions as well. We're going to throw up here. So if you have cruised to the Bahamas, Nassau Bahamas, and you want to give us your tips as we go through this, we desperately need them because we got to pick an excursion coming up, and we're
soon,
4 weeks out. Which we may not pick an excursion. We may just go hang out somewhere in the Bahamas, get a cab, or do that as well. We kind of did that with Margaritaville, but so yeah, we want you guys to help us out. We'll show you some of the excursions, even though it says Carnival. If you go on Royal or some of the other cruise lines, they basically sell the same thing. It's just if you go to Blue Lagoon or some of those places like that, but you can help us out with that. But yeah, we cut a video that came loose tonight. I said about midnight last night, cutting a video from where me and Anthony went up to Frazada's. I don't think Michelle's even seen it yet.
I haven't seen it.
Frazada's costume up in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. That thing's a little bit spooky, so I do want to warn you, if you got kids around you or you don't like spooky stuff, you might want to stay away from it. But it is definitely a little scary. In fact, it scared Anthony pretty good, I think. So I don't know if you'd want to go back in there or not, but some really cool stuff in that video. And then this past week we had Michelle's first video by herself where she did the murder mysteries at sea, and she's also working on
I'm working on my second episode.
Yep, she's working on a second episode. I thought somebody was texting me. Somebody else texted me. I thought they were saying, "Hey, your volume's off" or something. But yeah, she's working on the second one, and she told me a little bit about it last night. This is her baby, and she's saying that it's a really good one. She started giving me a little bit of the hints of it, and I was like, "Man, this is a good one." I think it's even better than the first one. So
yeah, definitely.
The first one was still good, and you really don't know if the couple, did they really, decide to commit suicide or was there foul play? You don't know. To me, in my opinion, it kind of sounds like suicide. That's what I'd have to guess. But the family is very adamant that it's not. We didn't mention some things in the video because of probably some legal issues we didn't want to get into.
I'm trying to be very
so if you want to go investigate that more, definitely investigate the names that were provided. And we also included the links as well. We're still going on the blink every once in a while on our video camera.
Yes.
I can't figure it out if it's a cord, a camera, or a HDMI cable, or the cam link we got. I don't know. So if something happens and a black screen comes up and it has our logo on it, give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back in. But please hang out with us for a little while. So this also I got to read this. I had to give some of our workers today some bad news about having to work this weekend. And but last night, yesterday, was it last night, day before yesterday? I think it was day before yesterday. I got this message on one of my videos, and there's some truth in here. I have to admit it, but this person blasted us, and I'm not going to give them the privilege of letting them know who their name is on here. But when Michelle found out about this, and anybody that's a vlogger and you put yourself out there, we did this one other time. We kind of read something to you, and you put yourself out there.
Right.
I mean, we know we're not the most personable people.
You open the door for whatever comes.
Right.
To
you see what you see is what you get, and that's how we are. And it doesn't matter what we're doing. It's that way. I mean, we just tell the facts.
We're honest, and if that comes across as offensive, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but let me read. And this was a video. We did a review of the food in the main dining room, and everything we said was positive. But this is what this person said to us. And I'm going to get right on this.
If I didn't have thick skin, my feelings would be hurt.
Sir, you couldn't be less personable or friendly if you tried. Your approach to these videos could be much better produced and fun. It's like you're not even trying to appeal to an audience. Why didn't you read the highlights of the printed menu? The shot wasn't on screen long enough to take it in. You could have sold it a lot better. The three of you come across as spoiled, number one, entitled, grumpies, looking for anything to complain about. Is this really working for you? So I don't even know if Michelle has heard what I said.
No,
she's like, just say good luck and don't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I can't do that.
So I told him not to be a jerk in response to the
So I can't do that. I can't hold things back. So this was my response to the message. A lot of friends of mine, I told one other friend about it, and they were like, man, we just delete that. We delete that stuff. We get that all the time. Hello, so-and-so. Thank you for your constructive feedback. Our approach to videos is informational and opinion. If food, we are not trying to make a living off of YouTube and definitely not trying to sell anything to anybody. And just a heads up on that, like Zazzle, you get 5% of whatever sold. So you have to buy $20 worth for us to get $1. We don't get anything else off of it. It's $20 to get $1. We got it marked down as low as we can get it. Let's see. We are not trying to make a living off YouTube and definitely not trying to sell anything. There are plenty of channels that will not provide honest opinions due to being afraid they will upset loyalists to the cruise line or lose potential customers if they're a travel agent. We do not have printed menus. We did not have printed menus, and it was QR codes for the menu. Maybe they will start handing them out again when or if the pandemic is less. Sorry, we are not personable enough for you. Thank you again, the Lovelaces. So that was my response, my little tart response. But hey, if you're a vlogger out there, you're going to get messages like this. And I get it. I'm not a Tony and Jenny. I don't have the greatest personality, do we, Michelle? But we are what we are. You see what you get. We are what you are, right?
He's got his grumpy shirt on today.
Oh, I do have my grumpy shirt on. So the guy was partly right. In fact, I read that and I was like, I need to wear my grumpy shirt on the live tonight. So yeah, I got my grumpy shirt on.
So the part that was most offensive to me was the
entitled,
spoiled and entitled.
I mean, I grew up with a single mother and 2 kids. I mean, we were dirt poor, lived in a mobile home our whole life.
Everything that Mike and
poor Anthony's adopted. He came from a bad home life, but it is what it is. It is what Anthony is entitled now. But I will say this: if I pay money for food or a service, I do think I'm entitled. I'm entitled to get my money's worth out of it.
Absolutely.
So there is a little bit of entitlement there. So,
but it's not overall entitlement. It's because we're paying.
It's not because we think we're privileged or anything. I'm going to go down that trail, but no, it's nothing to do with that.
We work for every penny that we.
Dang, you're right, we do. And
we've not been given anything, that's for sure.
So let's get off of that and let's go have some fun here and say hey to everybody in the chat. And then we're going to jump into you guys helping us out with the Bahamas.
We need it.
We need help. And if you guys, some people stay on the ship, and that's fine too. Tell us that. But we're going to go through real quick, say hey to everybody that came in. And first we got Miss Meg, and she's saying, howdy, folks. I think she actually posted something there and said, oh, I can't wait for this, like a day or two ago. But Miss Sandy is in here. Good to see Miss Sandy in the house. We got those fat people. Food, alcohol, and travel. I think we're changing the Sea Lake Journey said they thought it was.
That's hilarious.
It is food, alcohol, and travel. So we may change our name to food, alcohol, and travel. Just kidding.
I don't think that would be.
I love Robin and Chet. They're great people.
Family friendly.
family friendly. Yeah. All right. So we got KY Travelers, Tom and Brenda. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well.
Oh, Brenda, that cake that you made.
Oh, she makes cakes.
It was so beautiful.
Oh, yeah, the one that says 5 on it.
Yes, it was so beautiful.
It was beautiful. Go check out their channel. Nana's got and KY Travel's got a great channel.
Yes.
SCT's in the house. They were getting close to a cruise, I think, on the Freedom, which we had just done a while back. Don't eat the barbecue, Greg and Felicia. Please don't. Maybe eat it and then like do a comparison to us or something, maybe it'll get better. I don't know.
And then you're going to be subject to being grumpy.
Oh yeah, you'll be grumpy and entitled if you do that. Paul Vines is in the house. Good to see you, Paul. Who else we got here? The Z Show. How are you doing, Z Show Cruise Fun? I think I subbed to you the other day. I saw you in the chat. If not, I'll make sure I do. I did see you there. And Ocean to Ocean Travel, good to see you in the house tonight as well. Moonlight Adventures, thank you, Josh, for the shout out with Michelle's new series the other day in his video. He's got the bourbon. You're gonna have to have an empty glass though with a brown tea, and it looks like he's got a bourbon in his hand. That would be awesome too. Let's see who else we got. Kathy Mills, good to see you in the house, lady. Hope you're having fun. Michelle, I thought Michelle did really good on that.
Thank you. That's very
She
sweet.
was really nervous about it. There's a captain. Is he coming from the ship himself? That is awesome, Billy. I see you guys having a great time. I read your Facebook post today about you traveling around one of the ports on your own. That was pretty cool. And who else we got? Me, Darlene Reese. How you doing, Miss Darlene? I hope you're doing well. And Miss Amanda Francis, how are you doing? And yeah, you're getting ready to go on a cruise. I think, yeah. Yeah, they're going right back on the Legend again, I believe. That's going to be awesome. And
I think Paul said quit being grumpy, Mikey.
I always want to reply. I would leave a reply on your video, but I checked and you don't have any. But please don't have any. I did look him up, and he's got some playlist, and we don't see eye to eye. I can already tell we probably wouldn't get along. I mean, so yeah, I'm not going to argue religion over the guy, but we definitely have some different beliefs there. But all right, I'm gonna go home.
Yes.
Fordman, aka, how are you doing, buddy? Hope you are doing well. Mr. James, good to see you in here. I remember James won a Helping Hands for Cruising thing we did about a year ago, and now, or a year and a half ago, maybe, yeah. And then Kenneth is getting ready to go on that cruise, so that was awesome. Pretty cool. That's very cool, and that's going to be a cool cruise too. All those going out there.
Yes, it will.
All right. Miss Tess, how are you doing in the house? Good to see you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but we hit 3,500
Thank you.
subscribers, and we are very humbled by that. Thank you,
Yes,
thank
we
you, thank
are.
you. I mean, who would have thought a couple entitled
Spoiled
spoiled
grumpies.
grumpies would get 3,500 subscribers? I don't know. I mean,
Well, we certainly appreciate y'all being
you
with
can tell
us.
at my size, I know my food, right? Better, I've never known a bad meal. You would think my videos would be a little bit more happy. Spiker's Crazy Adventures. How are you doing in the house? Good to see Doug and Cindy in the house. And the Gaylors are in the house. Good to see the Gaylors. I saw them on the Gingers a little earlier. Gingers was a great show. I'm setting up and doing things and trying to help on that one at the same time. So it was fun though. And they had a great guest on tonight. Here we get Carnival Cruise on Barbecue. It's not barbecue. I said what I said. Hey, they may call you. They may call you spoiled and entitled now. Just all right. I'm leaving that alone. Let's go. Turn the page. Right. And we got Mr. Matt. I don't know if Kimber's coming in tonight, but definitely got Matt right now. Fantastic Cruising. Hey, we're going to talk about sharks or reptiles. That's who I'm calling. Right.
It's going to be a fun show.
It's going to be fun. Travel Mobile. How you doing? Mobile, Alabama. James there's awesome taking some pictures. I love the pictures he's been posting lately. Rachel's Adventures is in the house. Good to see you, Rachel's. Hey, right now may be a good time too. I see a couple of new people in the chat. Go ahead and put #creator, #TA for travel agent. Yeah, that's what that stands for. And yeah, we'll see. Hey, we hadn't done that in a while, but hey, let's do it. No Kimbra tonight, but she is watching. All right, Miss Kimbra. Good. I know you got things to do, and we definitely will miss you because that's a great team right there. And then I see Captain Billy on here too. So again, so hey,
we're at the bottom.
Yep, we're at the bottom. So we're gonna have a little fun right now. How many of you? A lot of people on cruise lines they go to the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Post in here me or Y or N saying yes you've been there or no you haven't. A Y for yes, N for no. You have not been there before. Not a KNOW, but a N for NO. Have you ever been to the Bahamas before? And we're going to try to share something here. See, our computer messed up earlier, and now I got to try to upload this again. And we'll see how this goes. So it looks like everybody is a Y so far that they've been to the Bahamas.
I think everybody's been.
I think everybody's been because that's very common, especially it's a short cruise. A lot of times the Bahamas, Princess Keys, Half Moon Key, or you go over to I think the first cruise we went to Freeport.
Yes.
The Grand Bahamas and Nassau, I believe. Mm-hmm. I think those are the three we went to. And Daniel's got a cruise coming up very soon. So James is saying no, he's not been. The chat is jumping around, so I don't know what's going on here, Michelle. Maybe we're way behind.
Oh, we're all blurry over there too.
Why are we blurry?
I don't know.
Jeez. Help us out. Please come back. Right? All right. So we're gonna as soon as this gets through processing, we're gonna show up this slide, and we know it'll be clear at this point. So even we may not be on the screen, we'll put the PowerPoint on here and we'll throw your comments on here until this cleans up. But let's go ahead and add this to the stream. So Nassau, Bahamas, we've been 3 or 4 times, I believe.
Yeah,
almost every other cruise we go on goes there. But we went to Margaritaville Beach Resort last time. And I'll be honest with you, I thought it was very good. This is a thumbnail for a video we got that is actually doing really well. It's our #1 video in the last, I think it's 28 days or whatever it goes up to on YouTube. And even if you cut it down to the last 7 days, it's our #1 video right now. Between it and our barbecue sauce video, they're our #1 and 2. But in this one right here, we break it down for you if you've never been here before, and we tell you how much it cost us to go. But I think it's worth going one time, don't you think, Michelle?
I do, and we had fun. And a lot of the fun had to do with we were with a big group of a lot of fun people too. But yes, it was fun, but it was very pricey, and I don't know that we would necessarily go back.
So I'm going to say Margaritaville times 25 to do my 25 times. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Yeah. Billy J's in here. I'm going to get in trouble. So here's one that we're thinking about doing. I don't know. Has anybody in here ever done this? this is the John Watling's Distillery, and there's other pictures in here, but you get to tour this place. You can buy some rum, you take it back to the ship, check it in. But this is a place.
It is free tasting too,
I
right?
think it's free tasting. I think that it may be free or very minimal cost to do it anyway.
Oh, okay.
So I've heard a lot of people love this. So this could be up on our list to possibly take a taxi over, or I don't know how far it is to walk. Yeah, so I think James is saying, I think that's James, but he's saying, yeah, we thought about it. David and Brandy went there as well. It looks pretty fun. I've seen a couple of videos on it. So that definitely, yeah. And I think Matt Becker saying Distillery. You had me at Distillery. Oh, and he also says they've done that as well. So we'll hear a little bit more maybe from him asking about that when he first comes on. And Billy's saying their ship is rocking tonight. So we're thinking about you there. We hope you guys don't get sick. So another one is, I love castles. I love history. This Fort Finn Castle is there. It had like a 4.5 rating. This says the fort was constructed out of limestone around 1793. I think that would be pretty cool. Maybe to hit the Distillery and hit the Fort Finn Castle and then turn around and go to Junkanoo Beach. I don't know, but that looks pretty cool. And I love history. Has anybody ever went here to Fort Finn Castle? Is everybody done? I thought we went one time to a place called Fort Charlotte. Is there a Fort Charlotte there?
We did go to a fort.
We went to a fort
it
one
wasn't
time,
this one, though.
but I thought it was called Fort Charlotte because I thought it was awful funny that we live in North Carolina.
Yes, I
and
do think that's the name.
I thought it was Fort Charlotte, but it was pretty cool. That was actually the very first time we went, and we went on the Triumph back then. So
yes.
So then Daniel said it's a decent walk from the port up to a very steep hill.
All right, well, that is ignating on walking up there then.
Yeah, well, it says the fort is awesome here, so James has been there, yeah.
We might take a cab, though.
Yeah, we could do that. As long as they don't charge us $40 like I tried to last time.
Oh, boy.
All right, so Queen's Staircase. Everybody does a video on the Queen's Staircase. All these times we've been there, we've never been to the Queen's Staircase.
Nope, we haven't.
And so this is a separate tour, but you'll see through Carnival they offer it as well. But again, opportunity there to go to Queen's Staircase. Even if you don't like walking up the 60 some steps or 160 some steps, whatever it is. I heard they have somebody at the bottom and the top trying to talk to you and kind of give you the history of it. And they want you to tip them, which is understandable. That's how they make their money. But still, that looks pretty cool. Has anybody done the Queen's Staircase? Just curious about that. And it says, congratulations. Okay.
Matt's done them all.
Yeah, Matt's done all of them.
I agree. No
What?
Queen's Escalator.
What?
That is so funny.
No Queen's Escalator? Nah, not in 1700 and something, 1790 something. But yeah, I might need that. If they had it right there to the side going up beside it.
Absolutely. Because these knees say no way.
Yeah. All right. So let's go into some of the Carnival stuff. And again, if you're on Royal or any other ones, you could look at this as well. And I'm sure they have something similar to it. I'm going to kind of look at this. Most of these have pretty good ratings. You got the private van. That's pretty expensive, $479. You got deep sea fishing. I would love to do something like that. Maybe not here, but somewhere down the road. Definitely not going to do it this time though. Adventure Jeep Beach and local lunch. And then you got Nassau walking tour with small groups, possibly. I don't know, with your knees. I don't know if we could handle that, Michelle. And then snorkeling adventure by Power Catamaran. And then I've seen this Blackbeard's Revenge pirate ship. It looks pretty cool. Looks like in a way that it's kind of geared towards smaller kids or families that have kids. So that may be one we need to wait and do with Anthony, maybe.
Probably.
So has anybody done any of these 6 right here real quick? Just real quick, and we'll go on to the next page. Because coming up, we're going to talk sharks. We'll talk a little bit of Nassau still, but we're still going to talk about sharks. So anybody done any of these 6? It doesn't sound like anybody is commenting yet. So I'm going to go to the next page, which is going to be the next 6. So on this one, we got the promo Family Beach Day Lunch Blue Lagoon Island. Has anybody done Blue Lagoon? Because there's a couple on here for Blue Lagoon. Here's another wheelchair accessible Nassau Island tour. A must see in Nassau, which is $69. It goes to the Queen's Staircase. That may be pretty cool. I think that probably hits all the highlights of it. Balmoral, was that Balmoral? How do you say that?
Balmoral? Yeah.
Yeah, Island Beach And, with the South, we're like Armorall. So it kind of sounds like Armorall. But the Island Beach Break, Stingray Encounter, and Adventure Jeep Beach. We actually looked at doing that one, and I was kind of shocked because I'm a big guy, but I love snorkeling. I can hold my own, and we noticed in the very fine print at the very bottom,
We were like,
I was blown away. There's a weight limit on it.
we were committed. I was like, we are doing this.
Yeah, Michelle's like, let's go ahead and get the cabana. Let's do this. It's just you and I in the cabana.
We were going to drop some money there too.
Yeah, the lighthouse is like $299 or something like that. But it was a full meal, which we read the meal was really good. And then they did snorkeling and they had a little beach area. And then the weight limit was about like 260 or something like that, 255. I tell you, I'm north of that. And I was like, wow, for snorkeling? I mean, you're not going to pull me out of the water anyway. You have to wear a life jacket anyway. So I don't know. Maybe it's for health reasons in case somebody had a heart attack or something and they couldn't get you out of the water. I don't know, but I was blown away with that. I was all with the credit card and
we were ready
to book it. And then I read that in the fine print. I was like, really disappointed me that I saw that. But.
Yes. Anyway.
So here's some people here. It says we haven't done any excursions in Nassau. Okay, SET. That's good information to know. Sharks, they only bite you when they touch your private parts. Okay. I'm not going there with that. I'm not going to touch that one. You need to proofread these ahead of time, Michelle. So Mike put that one up there. No, don't put it on there. So Moonlight Richard says, I've only seen Senior Frogs, and that experience was a little fuzzy. Definitely. We love Senior Frogs. We went there with Anthony one time to eat lunch, and then we watched the whole line, the line they had going around it.
Yeah,
they were pouring the alcohol straight in people's mouths. And then Blue Lagoon, go to Lagoon. Okay, so Janice has been there before, and Blue Lagoon is a place to go. Now, one thing we looked about that, they had the private, like adult area as well, and we heard mixed reviews on that. So I don't know if that would be worth going.
Let us know about your experience.
I've also heard the snorkeling there was not that great because it was only like 1.5 feet, 2 foot deep. So that's a question I have maybe on the Blue Lagoon. Has anybody snorkeled there, and did you like it or not? So yeah, I've heard, God, what was it? The name of the brewery there, right in the middle of town. Because somebody was there here recently. Was it Tony from Lolita Loca and some other people I saw? Maybe I saw somebody else on there, but they had to wait till it opened up, and then they had an area outside because of COVID. You can go out and drink. Pirate Museum. We've done the Pirate Museum.
We have been there.
We did that. We got a video on that that's very old on one of our first cruising videos. So it's not the greatest, but so here's Amanda says, I went snorkeling on one Carnival excursion in Nassau, and it didn't have a weight limit. I was checking. I was worried about getting out, but they had an easy lady I would use. So, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I was really shocked that they had to. I've never seen snorkeling a weight limit on snorkeling. Yeah, I don't know. It must be. It has to be for some safety reason or them trying to pull people out of the water. It's the only thing I can think of. Pirates Republic. That's the place I was thinking about. Yeah, I've heard about that place. I know they have some of the seltzer beers now, but they have some other beers as well there. So could be a possibility of checking that place out.
Yeah.
Let's see. And our son went to Atlantis and had a ball. Okay, yeah, Atlantis is always on there. I think I got that on here as well.
Yeah.
That's another one we thought about, but it's pretty high. It's over usually $200 or more, right, per person.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So here's another one here. Here's again the Balmoral Island, Pearl Island, another Pearl Island, a shark encounter and snorkel at Blue Lagoon Island, and the charm and beauty of Nassau at Paradise Island. So, yeah, so some on here as well. Most of those scored pretty decent. Usually it looks like between 4 and 4.5 stars on most of them. One of them, I think, looks like got maybe 3 3/4. And I've heard Amanda says she's heard the brewery is really good as well.
I have never had a conch fritter.
So
but
I didn't put that in here. And that's one thing I thought about is the fish fry area. Because I think further down past Junkanoo Beach is a new fish fry area. And there's like a ton of places to eat there. So that was another thing I thought about was what if we went down to Junkanoo Beach, got like 3 beers and a shot for $15 or whatever it is, $12, snorkel out there where Matt and Kimbra did in the past. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And then turn around and also go down and eat at one of the places at the fish fry.
Okay.
That might be something. And then come back by the distillery.
Oh my gosh.
I want to buy something. I've never bought.
We're gonna be.
I've never bought alcohol off the ship and try to get back on, and I thought that would be a good vlog. So I want to do that. I want to maybe do a vlog on the whole process of if I buy alcohol somewhere in a port and try to get it back on the ship, what the process to do that, and then also if I buy alcohol on the ship and I'm in the where you buy it and at the very end you pick it up, what the process is like that because I researched stuff like that and I haven't seen it, so I thought about doing a video on that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's going to be one of our only vlogs on the next Sunshine because we've vlogged everything else. I think we got 32 videos on the first cruise we went on it. And I've heard the conch fritters. Yes, I've heard the conch fritters are awesome.
Conch salad.
Conch salad. I heard that's great too.
What is conch? Is it like chewy and seafoodish?
I heard it's.
Is it a
I don't know
mild
about
taste
maybe like
or
a
is it?
snail or something maybe.
Well, that didn't help.
I love snails. We tried it on the escargot. We tried that on the last time, and I enjoyed it. Anthony didn't like it, but at least he tried it.
Yeah.
So all right, let's go ahead and go to the next one, and we're getting close to bringing on our special guest. So we got a dolphin swim at Blue Lagoon again, sea lion encounter. Things like that. We want to kind of wait and do with Anthony.
Yeah, I would love to do it every single time.
This time it's just going to be me, Michelle and I, and I don't want to do something like that he's going to miss out on.
He would freak out too.
And you got Atlantis Aqua Adventure Day, which Josh had mentioned. Dolphin Stingrays again at Blue Lagoon. Segway Adventure at Blue Lagoon. Adult only beach at Blue Lagoon. That's the one that I kind of was looking at maybe with Blue Lagoon, but the beach there looked very rocky and didn't really look like it was a sandy area to really go out and enjoy the water. And here's another one, wheelchair accessible Nassau Island tour, sea turtle and snorkel. That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, because Anthony, he's kind of iffy on snorkeling now. He got water in his mask one time, and now he's like, I don't know. Then you got the 2-reef snorkel by boat. You got a catamaran, beach break, and dolphin encounter. So here we got Amanda saying conch is a mild little chewy, kind of like a clam. Depending on how they cook it, fritters would be a good way to go. So I think we'd do that.
Okay.
If we did that.
That sounds relatively safe.
Yep. All right. So
okay.
Thanks for joining us on that part. Now I want to talk about something that kind of hits home to me. And I want to preface this with saying, we're not, not making light of what happened a couple of weeks.
Absolutely not.
In the Bahamas, where somebody on, I think it was Symphony of Seas or Harmony of Seas. What was it called?
I'm not sure which ship it was.
Harmony of the Seas, or I can't remember which one it was, but it was a royal ship that was there, and a 58-year-old lady lost her life. She was doing a non-ship excursion, is my understanding. She suffered some bites. And by the time I did see something last night, it was kind of graphic. I didn't want to show it, but they brought her back. And then when they got back to the dock area, they had to perform CPR and try to bring her back. And it didn't work out. So very sad situation. I think it's been a couple shark attacks there in the last several years. But we wanted to bring, we love snorkeling. If I could scuba dive, I would do it in a heartbeat. I kind of live vicariously through Fintastic Cruising, and now Mike and Betsy are getting ready to start doing that as well with Beach Please. But I love snorkeling. I love the marine life. I just love everything about it. So we wanted to bring on somebody tonight that has a lot of experience with number one, sharks. They work at an aquarium. This is the story I'd read, and basically I just gave you guys the it's Harmony of the Seas. So this was the ship. I think that was the ship that happened. This was a CNN article. It also says in this article that, and this makes sense now, that in this article it says that they have heard the locals there were saying that people had been chumming the water there, which anybody that knows anything about fish and sharks and stuff like that, people, even divers do that, chum the water to be able to get up close to them and take photos and video and stuff like that. But
they're trained.
Yeah, they're trained. And I don't know if anybody in this excursion, I'm not saying anything on here like on this excursion that anybody did this, but that's in this article, it mentions that at some point that the locals there had said that people had been chumming the water there. And maybe they were doing it to get more sharks in so that the people doing the excursions would see more. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not, don't want to get sued on that one either. So let's remove this, and we're going to go ahead and bring in our expert right now. He don't need that kind of music. Let's say this right here. This is Matt.
Hello.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm good. Oh, I think the green square is on there.
Huh?
There's a green square on the camera.
Yeah,
there we go.
You're trying to say we got to make sure you're right in the middle of
It's magic. I have magic. I can summon green squares.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you so much for coming in tonight, Matt. We absolutely love your channel. You and Kimbra, we love your videos. One thing before we get into the shark information, I think I kind of messaged you today about this, was, we were talking about going down snorkeling to Junkanoo Beach, and you got a video, or maybe may even have a couple of videos out, where you and Kimbra were snorkeling down there, and it was absolutely awesome. So if you haven't seen those videos, number one, sub to Fintastic Cruising and go check out the snorkeling videos there. They got some other diving videos as well. But can you tell us a little bit about your experience? A lot of people say, well, the snorkeling's not good there. Kind of like I did about Half Moon Key, and you said, no, Mike, wait till this video comes out. So now that's what we're going to do. We're going to snorkel that whole left side of Half Moon Key. But tell us about the snorkeling before we get into sharks at Nassau.
Yeah, so I love to go places and really experience them for myself, because sometimes people do go to places and they think it's not good snorkeling, and sometimes it's not. But sometimes it depends on where you're setting your expectations, and sometimes it's depending on knowing where to look and having the patience and knowing how to find stuff. And I say this with the caveat that this is from my perspective. And if you put me into a pond with a guppy, I'm probably going to be happy. So I'm pretty open when it comes to that. But Junkanoo Beach is in walking distance to the cruise terminal and cruise port. And so, I'd always heard little bits and bobs about it. I've heard that it's, may not be safe all the time and stuff. We went there when Nassau had first opened back up, and we just tested the water, so to speak. And it is a quick walk. Didn't take us long to get there. There were not a lot of people there when we were there. Basically, what you have to do is find structure. So you need a combination of decent to good visibility, and you need some established structure, and then you're going to be able to find sea life most of the time. And that's the case here. There's sort of some old, I don't know if they're old like piers or something that go out into the water. Maybe they're, I don't know what they were originally, but there's some like collapsed concrete and stuff in there. And if you swim around there, you will find quite a bit of fish. Now, is it as good as snorkeling at Grand Turk or Junkanoo? No, but we saw a lot of stuff there in the amount of time we were there. And even out in the kind of opener areas, there were places where there were ledges of rock. There was some debris. I don't know if it was put there intentionally or not intentionally, but there's a lot of life there, a lot of sea urchins, a lot of different species of coral reef fish, as well as I believe we saw barracuda. And of course, I saw an octopus, which Kimbra did not see, which I got in trouble for bringing that up a little while ago. But it was there. And so it's the thing is, it's completely free to do this because you just walk there and get in the water. And we did bring a beach safe to lock stuff up, and we had a little waterproof thing that we could put stuff on. So we didn't have anything valuable that was exposed on the beach. I don't think it would have been an issue the day that we were there, but when it gets more crowded, that could be a concern. But yeah, it was cool. We really liked it. I look forward to going back and experiencing it again.
So in your video, this may be a little spoiler. Maybe you can give people a little bit of a spoiler of what you saw that a lot of people don't see, and that will make them want to go watch that video. Because when I saw that, I was like, no way, right there. I mean, Tell them what you saw. I think you said you saw it and poor Kimbra didn't, but
Yeah, I mean, well, I love octopus. Anytime I see an octopus or a squid, I'm super excited. And yeah, there was an octopus there. Now, octopuses, I've come to realize they're one of those things that once you start to figure out how to find them, then you can find them easier and easier. The last cruise we were on MSC's island, and I found an octopus. I kind of know the signs to look for. I found him in Half Moon Cay. And then when I was watching my footage, there was another octopus I didn't even see. I was like filming a fish,
wow.
and I'm reviewing the footage, and I'm like, what? There was an octopus right there. But yeah, it was out in, there's some sort of small seagrass and rocky areas, and they're the masters of camouflage. They can change their texture, their color, their pattern, all of it. And so, you could easily swim over this animal and not see it, but I happened to catch a glimpse of it, recognized it, and then hung out with it for a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah, and also Matt has, in case you haven't, subbed to Fintastic Cruising, but he's also got a drawing channel, Draw with Matt, that he comes on and does some drawings that you can kind of watch him slowly, maybe try to do the same thing yourself. And I don't know if it'll be quite as good as Matt's, but it would be something that you've done, and it's a great channel. It's a great thing you're doing there as well, Matt. But
I need to get back on that channel. I haven't been on it very much lately.
That was a hint. It's been a few weeks, right?
It's been a bit. It's been a minute.
All right. So also let's talk about something that the story we kind of brought up earlier about the shark attack, and I know you work. Tell everybody where you work at and how many years you worked there, and and maybe just a little bit about your love of marine life and reptiles, and kind of give everybody a little bit of background on why we asked you to come on here.
I mean, I've been an animal person since I was literally knee high to a grasshopper. Well, maybe not literally, but I grew up on Jacques Cousteau. I've always loved the ocean. My mom is a huge animal person. She loves reptiles as well. So I've always been a huge reptile person. So I've worked at zoos, science museums, and aquarium, and now I've been at the Florida Aquarium in Tampa for like a little over 10 years. But that's my passion. My passion is I love my reptiles on land, but when I can get in the water, I always say it's like my happy place, because I love any kind of aquatic life, freshwater or saltwater, but especially saltwater stuff.
I love your shirt, by the way. I got a Camp Crystal Lake.
I wore it for you.
Hat on. You got the Evil Dead musical on, so we're getting ready for Halloween. Okay.
I watched your video today on Frazetta's costume.
With you loving art, if you're ever up there, man, you got to be there, because there's also a Frank Frazetta museum not far. Yeah, we're going way off there, but there's a Frank Frazetta museum not far from there. And, he did the original Conan the Barbarian and some of the Molly Hatchet albums. And a lot of people say he's like kind of the godfather of mystical, that type of genre of drawing and stuff. So
fantasy
art.
I
can't draw worth a bit, but his story was really cool. So let's get into sharks. Let's talk about sharks. So that article said, and I'm sure you've read some other articles, and you actually sent me some information on it. But, in my mind, and from what I read and what I saw on TV, is like, oh, the shark attacks, the Nassau, the Bahamas and Florida are the biggest attacks of everywhere. And then you kind of brought it down to reality of, well, let's put things in perspective here. So tell everybody, when we're not foo-fooing on what happened, because it definitely happened, and it's a very sad story. But it did say in the article I read that some people had maybe been chumming the water. But you brought up another theory happening as well. But maybe let's first talk about, number one, the bull shark, which is what they said attacked a lady. And maybe can you give us some background on the bull shark, and then turn around and let's maybe talk about what could have escalated this.
Sure. And like you guys said, it's always, whenever this sort of thing happens, it's always a challenge for me, because of course I have, I don't want to take anything away from the tragedy that happened, and my heart goes out to them. But at the same time, I love sharks, and I know that the reality is not how it's portrayed in the media. It's just that when this happens, I mean, imagine if they did this every time there was like a traffic accident. We wouldn't have time to do anything. But
Right.
but when it comes to shark attacks in Florida, especially Florida, and in the Caribbean, Bahamas, which are very rare, one of the species of sharks that has been responsible for attacks, and especially fatal attacks, are bull sharks. And this is actually more of a Florida thing, typically. In fact, right in my area, Tampa, there's been a few. Still very rare, still extraordinarily rare. But the problem with bull sharks is that they are a large species of shark, and more importantly, they eat large things. So bull sharks eat stingrays, sea turtles in this area, and so what puts people in danger most of the time is a shark that is in an area where either the lighting's bad, the visibility's bad, or something happens where they are mistaking a human as one of their natural prey items. And almost every time there's a shark attack, we think that's what's going on. There are a few really rare exceptions to that, but and bull sharks, because especially in this area, the water tends to be murky, they're looking for big prey, and so accidents happen. Typically, what happens is what happened in this latest incident, from what I can get from the articles I've seen, is that it was kind of a hit and run. The shark probably realized that a human is not really the right prey item for it. It's not the right consistency, and then it left. But unfortunately, that it was traumatic enough to cause a death of that lady.
Yeah, and my understanding, I may be wrong on this, was it was basically maybe hit a major artery or something and they bled out. Because and it's on YouTube, and I didn't put a link in here on, and I'm not going to, but people can go out and see the video that I saw yesterday, and it was really sad because there was actually another person on that excursion that was a nurse. I don't know, or I think she was a nurse, but she was asking for an IV, and I'm like, that IV is not going to help. I mean,
Right.
they're here doing CPR on her because she's just suffered too much blood loss at that point. But
so Mike, let me say this too. There are probably over 500 different species of sharks in the world that are living today, that we have identified through our human means of identifying species. And a lot can be told by their teeth. It tells us what they eat and things like that. That's why when we find fossilized shark's teeth, we can make educated guesses on some of their natural behavior. But one of the things that makes a shark like a bull shark, tiger shark, great white shark more dangerous is that their teeth are made for eating the big prey items, and they're like serrated like a steak knife. So they're made to take a big chunk out of something that's bigger. And so if it's a smaller shark, like you'll hear statistics about like New Smyrna Beach has the highest percentage of shark attacks in the world. Like nobody even comes close. Well, those shark attacks are almost always very minor because they're black tip sharks, they're spinner sharks, which have different teeth. They're smaller, they don't have the same dentition. And so when they bite somebody, it's not really usually a very big deal, but they're biting people because they're in the surf, it's bad visibility, and they're just making mistakes. So that serrated tooth can cause a lot of bleeding, and it doesn't take more than a bite sometimes to be fatal.
So this is a great question that the Z Show Cruise Fund asked, and I've heard this, and I've wondered. I've heard some people say it was a myth. You've done your studying. Is it true that sharks can smell blood miles and miles and miles away? Is that true?
So this is a fact that is that's really not a good way to represent it.
Okay.
Here's how it works. A shark has very good sense of smell. Now, sharks don't have a nostril like you and I. They can't take water in through their gills. It's just a little pocket that is made to do one thing, and that is sense smells. And they are very good at sensing smells. You'll hear statistics like they can sense 1 particle of fish oil or blood in a Olympic-sized swimming pool. But that doesn't mean that if you drop blood into an Olympic-sized swimming pool, that a shark on the other side is immediately going to smell it. Think of it like a fart, okay? When you fart,
I got that. Let me see if I can find it.
I knew that you would appreciate this reference.
Yeah, I think I got that somewhere.
So when you fart, if you're sitting right next to the person, you're going to smell it right away. as it dissipates through the room, you will smell it less and less. If you have a better sense of smell, you might smell it across the whole, a big arena or something.
I love
If you
this
were a
analogy
shark.
you're giving, Matt. I can
Right.
really relate to this.
trying to
I know
trying to
Cindy
keep it real.
Spiker's in here, so I know she relates to that as well.
But yeah, so can a shark detect a very small particle of blood in the water? Absolutely. But that blood has to be in that area. That particle has to drift into that area. And so it's not the primary way a shark is going to necessarily find food from miles away. They, if they're in proximity, they may go towards, oh, there's a little bit denser smell, and that may help them to find that. But I think that overall, the old tale of, if you're bleeding and you go in the water, a shark's there's really not a lot of evidence to support that that's a thing. Now the exception would be, like you mentioned, chumming, but then you're putting a lot of blood and fish oils into the water, stirring it up, and it's taking time. And you're going to areas where sharks may inhabit, and so you might be pulling them in from nearby in that scenario.
So now I don't know much about the Bahamas. Is the bull shark plentiful in that area? I mean, they just pretty much, around the floor, around the Bahamas area or Nassau, I know there's 700 islands in the Bahamas, but for the area Nassau, is that the number one shark in that area, or what is probably
it's definitely not the most common shark, but they are a common enough shark in that area. If you look at shark statistics of fatal attacks throughout the Bahamas and the Caribbean, by far, and there's not a lot of them. I think there's maybe less than 10, less than 20 throughout the entire Caribbean and Bahamas, since like the 1700s that we've been recording.
I remember you showing me, you sent me a link to that, and I think it was said there was like 32 or 33 in low 30s.
Yeah,
since
that
like
sounds right.
1700 and something.
Yeah, 1749.
Right,
so
recorded. These are provoked, and I don't know what the definition of provoked is.
We can talk about that too, but most of them are tiger sharks. So tiger sharks are going to be a little bit more common. They're a little more of a tropical water shark. They're bigger than bull sharks. They're in the top number of sharks that do occasionally attack humans, for sure. That is what attacked the young lady who unfortunately died a half mile away from this attack in 2019. It was, from what I have read, it was 3 tiger sharks, which is very suspicious and strange. But yeah, again, so it's the same scenario. Tiger sharks are big. They really eat sea turtles is one of their main diets. Humans are big like that. So, but yeah, bull sharks are around. They're super common in like the Gulf, like in my area, and even I think on the Atlantic coast. They're pretty common. I mean, there are other shark species. Like, I don't see bull sharks. I've seen bull sharks in the wild, maybe twice in this area. I've seen a lot more bonnet head sharks, which is small species of hammerhead. I've seen a lot more blacktip sharks, spinner sharks, nurse sharks. I see a lot more of those. Part of that is where I am and where they are and stuff, but much more common.
The bull shark, the shark that is, and again, I'm glad you're on there, can handle the brackish water and go further up into rivers and stuff. Because I'd heard that in some other countries. I thought that it looked like a muddy river to me. It didn't look like the ocean. And they were like, yeah, it was a bull shark that did that, because I thought they can handle brackish water, even maybe
they can handle fresh water. Yeah.
Type.
It's not super common for them to do that necessarily. Brackish water, absolutely. Like, they will come into Tampa Bay as one of their nursery grounds. But there's been bull sharks, I believe, tracked as far up the Mississippi as St. Louis, where I'm from originally. And there is a lake in Nicaragua that is I think it's a completely enclosed, or normally completely enclosed, freshwater lake that has bull sharks in it.
Wow.
When I was a kid, they described those as the Lake Nicaragua shark, which was a very similar species. But I think through DNA studies, I don't think they distinguish them anymore. I think they're just calling them bull sharks that are in there. So they are very tolerant. There are other sharks like bonnethead sharks. A lot of sharks are somewhat tolerant of brackish water. Lemon sharks, very tolerant of that. But bull sharks are the ones that you hear about, because those are the ones that do occasionally have incidents with humans.
So it looks like Cindy's got a question for you. Matt, do you feel the sharks are coming up short even around the beaches here in Florida more so now than they have before? It seems like this year alone, more stories of what's happening recently up around Cocoa Beach.
I don't know. It seems like sharks, if you look at the history of shark incidents, there's a couple things that play into that. And it could be there has been more shark conservation. There are some things that are happening that are benefiting sharks, certain species. There's 500 species, and it's hard to keep track of how many there are when they're in the ocean. But the other things that can contribute to that is just random cycles, coincidence. And then, of course, when there is a very prominent media thing, then you can bet that the media is going to jump on every single shark incident out there. After that lady perished, you just saw nothing but shark attack, shark attack, shark attack. But if you looked at them, a lot of times it was like a kid was surfing and a shark like bit his foot and he had like a Band-Aid on there, so yeah. And 15,000 people probably stepped on seashells last weekend and had to get stitches. That not that many.
They slipped down their slip and cut themselves all up with the clam shells or shells all over the legs. So Travel Mobile, great comment. I agree. Matt and them do a great job, Matt and Kimbra. And they've had episodes of theirs. Go back and check some of their live events where they did episodes on sharks. Pretty much.
Yeah, we did a shark. Yeah, we did a whole shark live.
We did a whole shark show. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I was there that night because sharks fascinate me. I tell you the story, and maybe you're about my age, Matt. We're not going to say what it is. I remember at a very young age, and I'll just say it's in the 70s, of getting ready to go to the beach for the first time I'd ever been, and I was pretty young. I was in school, but not far into school. And the movie Jaws came out, and back then my parents let me, for some reason, I don't think I was able to watch it, but I was back then that all the friends were over watching TV. And then I was like in the kitchen playing with other kids, but I was like at the doorway because I just love sharks. I just always, they've always fascinated me, but that movie scared me to death. And how many times at the beach, you go to the beach and all of a sudden somebody goes, dun, 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 dun,
right.
Dun, 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 dun. I mean, I think that movie probably has done more harm towards sharks, even though it's a great movie. I like the movie. We all know it's fake. It's not real. But it probably done more harm towards the shark. Just knowledge of anything. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, that was 1975. That movie came out, and I was allowed to see that movie. It was an R-rated movie, but I was allowed to see that movie in the theater and I was like, I think kindergarten maybe, or first grade. And I love sharks so much because I was watching Jacques Cousteau all the time. And then we came to Florida on vacation, like when I was in first grade, and my mom, like, I think she read Jaws and she read a bunch of shark, and she was like real nervous, but fortunately she was able to look past it. But yeah, Peter Benchley, who wrote that, I think has some regrets. I love Jaws. I don't love that it's had a negative impact. I think it's inspired a lot of people in good ways as well. But I think overall, unfortunately, it has caused a lot of harm to the PR of sharks. But I mean, it's also part of what made me who I am today. So it's kind of a.
I agree. I mean, even though it scared me when I was young, as an adult, hey, but when I was young, it scared me to death. I would not go past my ankle in the water. I mean, it scared me to death. But it's a great movie to go back and watch now. And yeah, the shark kind of looks cheesy in some things, but just the whole storyline of it's a good story. But yeah. I do think it can be detrimental towards it. And then it can help, like you said, as well. Now, one thing we talked about a little bit behind the scenes, or actually may have been on your Fintastic Cruising group. In fact, if you haven't been there, go check that out as well. Because again, Kimbra and Matt put out some great stuff on their own channel. We talked a little bit about, and we may go a few minutes after 9 o'clock tonight. I don't want to tie up Matt's time too much, but
I'm happy if we're talking about sharks.
Yeah, Ronnie and Alma are not going live tonight. They're packing. So just to FYI, I don't know if the beach life is going to go on tonight because of they're on a cruise ship. They may or may not. I haven't seen that, but Ronnie and Alma are packing tonight. So we may go a little after 9, 10, 15 minutes after 9 here because I love sharks too. But there was a theory that you brought up, I think, on your page that about maybe some of these shark attacks. And I like the way you said it because you said, I'm not saying this is definitely what happened because out of respect to the person that was injured and ended up losing their life. But you brought up a good theory. And then when I brought that up, Michelle's like, because we have actually been looking at excursions in the Bahamas to go do exactly what you brought up. And I remember some people in your group was like, well, who would want to do that? I would because of that back there. I love pigs. That's my logo, a pig on it. But tell everybody your thought on that because I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. So and again, I will say the caveat. I mean that this is something that I think is an interesting coincidence, and I think there needs to be some research done on it to see if it is tied. I don't know if it is. It might not be, but when that tiger shark attack happened in 2019. One of the things that I heard mention is that this is near the spot where it's very popular to swim with pigs, and that there was some concerns that something with swimming with pigs was pulling these larger sharks into the area and causing them to possibly make this mistake. At that point, I was like, well, that's interesting, but there was one attack in 2019. But it was 3 sharks, which is, that's not normally how it goes with humans. That's very weird. Then this one happened a half mile away. Now, I don't know. I don't think either one of these people that were attacked were swimming with pigs at the time, but that's not really maybe the important part. The important part is if that's an activity that's happening and if there's something about the way the pigs are moving, something about the scent that they put off that is for some reason attracting sharks and causing them to go into a food mode, it potentially could be causation and not just, coincidence that these are happening. If that's the case, then we need to look at whether it's okay to do that. There's also a lot of controversy about diving and swimming with sharks because, like you said, they're using the chum and stuff like that to attract them in certain situations. We did the excursion in Bimini, and they fed them afterwards. Those were Caribbean reef sharks, which never killed anyone. But, and look, I want to do all that. I want to swim with sharks. I want to swim with tiger sharks and bull sharks. I want to do that. But we also have to be responsible about it. And that doesn't mean just saying, hey, that's what's happening, we should ban it. But we do need to look at it and see if that's what's happening. I still want to say too, though, that 32 attacks in the Bahamas, I think it's 32 not fatal, just 32 attacks in the Bahamas since the 1750s. And a handful of those have been fatal. In the Bahamas, I think it's like, I don't remember the number, but it's a very, very low number. So we shouldn't panic either, because every time you get into your car and go somewhere, you're taking a much bigger risk. If you look at your phone while you're driving and you're worried about shark attacks, then you need to take a serious look at statistics because that's ridiculous. You're way more in maybe more danger doing that. But yeah, I think it's something that needs to be researched and it needs to be looked at and see if there's anything there.
Yeah, one of the islands we had reviewed, we were watching a vlogger, and we were trying to figure out, hey, how can we go swim with the pigs? Because it's just something I'd like to do. I don't know. I know it's crazy like that, but it's something we'd like to do just because we think they're cute. But and I'd read historically at some of these islands in the Bahamas that, the pigs had kind of overpopulated the area. So they all took them to Pig Island. I think maybe it was Pig Island that we were looking at. They took them over there to the Pig Island by themselves. And then they would bring food over or slop over to them. But then I'd read another article after seeing that vlog that said that some of the population had went down because they thought maybe the sharks were starting to get on that. But most of the vlogs that I've seen with it, they're not that deep in the water, which I know it doesn't take much. You don't have to be too deep in the water.
Most shark attacks take place in less than 5 feet of water.
Yeah. But most of the time when they're swimming with the pigs, it's like they're not They're not but 3 or 4 foot deep. I mean, most of the time it's them trying to feed them at the shoreline and stuff. So I don't know. It may make it, there are some I'm sure that say swimming. The pigs are really only going out there more than likely to get the food. So you're probably enticing them as well. Hey, come out here in the water here and we'll feed you this. I don't know that pigs just like to go out and swim for a swim. I mean, I'm sure rather get in the mud or the shade somewhere and kind of muck down. I don't know, but I love that theory that you brought up, and I do think that somebody needs to probably do a study on that.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we like to eat pig.
Right. There's a reason you have that pig logo. It's not because you think they're cute and cuddly.
Some of them are.
Michelle likes barbecue too, so
I do, but I can't really think about it.
We had for a long time. We had to tell Anthony that the meat that we ate was because of animals passing away, because he's big tenderhearted and we love animals too. And many years ago I used to hunt, but when I did hunt, I always ate what we hunt. And then once I found out I had gout, I quit hunting altogether. And then on fishing, I always catch and release. We don't ever eat them anymore unless we're going to do it through like a pond or something like that, like a store bought catfish or something like that, or a restaurant. But we had to tell Anthony that these were animals that had passed away, and that's why we were able to eat. We kind of had to fib a little bit to him because he was so tenderhearted about it.
Nothing wrong with empathy.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
so, Meg likes that muck down. That might be a North Carolina term there. We call it mucking down, getting in that mud. Now, as far as sharks are concerned, what is, and I think you said this on your live, what is your favorite shark personally, Matt?
Hammerhead. I mean, that's kind of hard for me to say, but I love hammerheads. When I was on that first grade trip to Florida, my grandfather was fishing off the beach and caught a bonnethead shark, which is a species of hammerhead, but they only get a few feet. And of course, back then, we all thought it was a baby hammerhead. This was horrible, but at the time, it was fascinating to me. He brought it in, put it in the bathtub, and I got to like pet it and stuff. Of course, it died because it didn't do well in that situation. But it like, I mean, it for me, a little shark lover, I wasn't thinking of that aspect of it. I think I was probably a little upset that it didn't make it, but it was just so cool. And so from that day on, like hammerhead species, which there are several, are my favorites.
So if you had to grade the aggressiveness between, let's say, a bull shark and another one that gets a really bad rep is the great white shark. In your opinion, which one of them two, and I know this may go to depending on the situation they're put in, which one of them two, in your opinion, was really the more aggressive, or are they equally, or what's your opinion on them? Those are probably the two sharks that people bring up the most on shark attacks.
Have the worst reputation.
And a hammerhead just looks kind of scary too. People bring that up too, but
not very many, not very many attacks. There
right.
are some, but not very many with hammerheads.
So between those two, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's hard. First of all, as the shark advocate, let me say that I would not describe any sharks as aggressive. But I would say I can tell you this. I think a lot of it is situational. Great whites are bigger, typically. Great whites are often in situations where it's easier to mistake a human for a sea lion if that human's surfing or something like that, which is a lot of times how that happens. But maybe this is a way to sum it up. I would definitely scuba dive cage-free 100% with a bull shark. With a great white, I don't know that I would. So, so maybe that answers that question. I don't know that I wouldn't, but I'd have to see some other people doing it first and feel like they were okay. So, and most people still cage dive with great whites, and it's very common. There's places in Florida and in the Bahamas where you can scuba dive with great whites and tiger sharks and other species that are bigger. So, and people aren't getting eaten by sharks or attacked by sharks. Speaking of that, you mentioned the provoked and non-provoked. Basically, a non-provoked attack means that you didn't touch the shark, you didn't catch the shark, you're not spear fishing, and you're not basically dragging food with you through the water. You're not doing anything to give that shark a reason to attack you that would make sense that the shark would attack you. It could be secondarily, like if it is the pig thing or whatever, that could be secondarily, but not the person's fault that got attacked. So that's different places define that differently, but that's how most organizations define unprovoked attacks.
So we went to the DR one time on an all-inclusive, and we got to do an excursion where we got to go and number one, see dolphins, but then we also got to go to an area that had a stingray area, and the nurse sharks were on the very bottom. And I thought that was really cool to be, they were 10, 12, 15 feet down, but we were at the top snorkeling and looking down at them, and them and the stingrays were all kind of hanging out together. But that was a cool excursion. I've seen other people do the nurse shark excursions. Now, I do have a coworker that her son is a certified diver and goes to Bonaire regularly. And now she did tell me this a couple of weeks ago, actually probably right when this attack happened, because we somehow started talking about it at work. But she said that when they go to Bonaire, that they do chum the water there, and they get down there with their GoPros and they're taking pictures of the sharks. They're not trying to touch them. They tell all of them, don't try to touch the sharks. You'll see some of these people go up and they'll try to touch them or hit their nose and all that. They don't do any of that, but they do chum the water to get the sharks in. And she's like, she's telling her son, don't tell me that until you get back, But that is what they do.
Yeah, no, they do that in some of the excursions that are, I don't know if they do that in the Florida ones. They might, but definitely in some of the ones in the Bahamas and Caribbean, but it's kind of a controlled situation. It's a very controversial thing. Like I said, I want to do it. But I also want to be responsible. And I think, if the science says that this is creating problems, but again, I go back to the fact that it's even if that is causing problems, it's extraordinarily rare that any of this happens. So, we all take risks and we all measure those risks. And of course we have to consider other people that aren't willing to take those risks. Are we putting them at risk? That changes that scenario a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't, and most species of sharks are completely harmless to humans. The Caribbean reef sharks that we were snorkeling with, I mean, if they would bite us, it would possibly make us have to get stitches or something at the very worst case scenario, but they're not big enough to cause, it'd be a very weird experience. It's possible, I guess it could be lethal, but if you look at statistics of animals that are dangerous, you'll find that one of the main animals that kills people intentionally in the United States, way more, because in the United States, the average shark attack fatalities are like 1-2 a year. Cows kill a lot more people. And some of that is intentionally cows and bulls killing people. Like it's in the hundreds usually. So,
that's a great comment, a great fact.
I would have never thought that.
I never would have thought that. Yeah. But I can say, the bulls can get pretty mean, and then people are trying to, handle them and stuff like that. And I mean, they got some pretty long horns on them. But so I'd like to, I want to be very, cautious here and respecting your time. But number one, kind of end us tonight with, number one, give us, I know you've been a very strong advocate for sharks. Give us some final closings on sharks and your opinion on that as an advocate for sharks. And then number two, can you give us a little bit of information about what's going on with your channel, what you got coming up, maybe some cruises coming up, and kind of end us tonight on that.
Sure. So yeah, thank you for letting me have my soapbox here. As tragic as it is, Kimbra's raising her hand. Oh, Kimbra's saying hi from the background.
All right. We miss you, Kimbra.
She was under the weather last week. She's still a little sleepy and stuff, so that's why she's kind of decided. But as tragic as it is that there are a handful, and I mean a handful of shark fatalities every year in the world, the reality is shark deaths in the world I've seen statistics that are in the 100 millions. I don't like to give out numbers because I see different numbers in different sources, and I don't think we know the exact number. But here's the reality. Some sharks are endangered, some are critically endangered, some are vulnerable, some are doing just fine. But what we do know is that sharks are important. They're apex predators. They are integral to coral reefs and to other ocean environments. We need our sharks. When you lose sharks, you lose the balance of nature. Like a good example is there was an area where people were going and getting scallops, and the shark population got culled, which means they just killed off a lot of their sharks. Well, what happened was the scallops disappeared. The sharks didn't eat the scallops. The sharks disappeared. Scallops disappeared. Why? Because the sharks were eating the stingrays, keeping that population in balance. And when the sharks were gone, the stingray population exploded and they ate all the scallops. So we need that balance in nature. And if you want to help sharks, really, there's all kinds of things you can do. There's a lot of things threatening sharks, but the main thing that threatens sharks is irresponsible fishing practices. So I'm not saying no, don't eat seafood. In fact, I encourage you, if you like seafood, to eat it, but try and do it in a sustainable way. So you want to make sure that you're trying to buy seafood or fish at restaurants that are harvested in a way that is responsible. They're not getting a lot of bycatch. They're not doing things that are damaging to the ecosystem. And how do you know that? There are different apps out there. There are different websites out there, like Moat Marine Aquarium was doing one for a while called, what was that, Seafood Watch? It's back up, and it'll tell you, it'll give you a list of fish. It'll tell you whether it's a good choice, not good choice, a great choice. It'll tell you why. Sometimes it's because of ecological problems for the fish, but sometimes might be that fish has a lot of mercury in it, so it might be bad for you. Sometimes farming fish is the best practice. Sometimes it's the worst practice. So it's not even like you can go, oh, well, farming's the answer. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But just being a conscientious consumer is the best thing that you can do as far as helping sharks. And we need our sharks.
I agree. Amen. I'll amen to that. I know Josh said the same thing. So thank you so much for giving us, some sound facts about that. We appreciate your love of nature and marine life and stuff. Now let's kind of finish it off with Fintastic Cruising. I know it used to be Fintastic Studios at one time, right? And it's changed a little bit, but tell us what you got going on. You and Kimbra have going on with your channel. I know you got a cruise coming up. You just got off a cruise. I've been seeing your vlogs you've been putting out on that. So tell us a little bit about your channel. And we've been throwing up your channel in here. So people, please sub to the channel. Love their channel. Great information. Just off the marine and scuba diving and snorkeling, I would sub to that channel alone. But you got some great other information and vlogs that you put out as well. But give us a little information about your channel. Yeah, they're great people. They invite us to their house and let us handle their snake. I mean,
yes.
Can you believe that?
I got to play with the snake.
Yeah. Guinness.
Yes.
Guinness, yeah. So we used to call our channel Fintastic Studios, but we have a podcast called Fintastic Cruising, and we originally had broader goals for our YouTube channel, which didn't really come to fruition as far as covering different things. So we decided it was very confusing because we started doing the podcast on YouTube. So we just changed it to Fintastic Cruising. So it's just one name and it's hopefully less confusing. But yeah, we try and do a weekly podcast, which we're pretty successful at doing. We do it live on YouTube, typically on Friday nights. And then it does go out as an audio only podcast where you can get it wherever you listen to podcasts and stuff. Since we started doing it on YouTube, sometimes we do have more visual elements to it, but we try and keep it audio friendly. So if you are a fan of the podcast format, then that is an option for you. And yeah, we just got off the MSC Seashore, which was a great cruise. We are going on the cruise, which is it's Spikers, Down Under Cruisers, and Us and More. It's kind of a conglomerate group cruise thing that is leaving in October, and we're going to Aruba and Bonaire and 2 stops in the DR. We're super excited about that.
La Romana is one of those.
La Romana and Amber Cove.
Okay. Yeah.
Which are great ports. But I love the ABC Islands. I haven't been to Bonaire yet, but I love Curacao and Aruba are way up there as my top.
And Bonaire is on this cruise coming up for you guys, right?
It is. We're going to dive. We just made our reservations to scuba dive because they didn't have anything through the cruise line. So we had to go through a third party for that. But Bonaire, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Jacques Cousteau. I got scuba certified in 1986 when I turned 15. I had like my my minor scuba diver license.
Awesome.
And I used to get a scuba diving magazine. I think it was called Scuba Diver, Scuba Diving. I don't remember for sure
I
now.
remember seeing that in the doctor's office. I really
Yeah,
did.
yeah. Well, the cover of this magazine, it seemed like it was Bon Air, like every other month.
Jacques
It was
Cousteau,
Bon
a
Air,
lot of
Bon
people,
Air.
a lot of
Yeah,
people
so-
that are younger don't probably realize this. People our age wanted to. I mean, Jacques Cousteau was like a rock star. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
everybody watched his show every week. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody loved it. I mean, you know, I wish they had. I don't know if there's somebody out there like that now, or they kind of gotten away with that.
They're not
other
on
than,
Shark
like,
Week,
maybe
I can
Shark
tell you
Week.
that.
That to me seems like
Don't
garbage
trust
anyway.
Shark Week.
Yeah, we're not going to get on that part, Matt. Well, hey, please finish up on your channel. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So our podcast, of course, primarily covers cruising, but because Kimber and I are huge animal people, we do have a lot of underwater footage, scuba diving, snorkeling. We try and give people good reviews of different areas. We talk about the animals that we're seeing. So if you watch a 15-minute scuba diving video, you're probably going to learn to identify some fish if you want to, or learn some interesting stuff about them. And on the podcast every week, we do what we call a cruise creature. So we try and cover some sort of living thing, usually an animal that you are probably likely to see on a cruise, primarily in the Caribbean, but we do cover other areas as well and give you just a little bit of information about that.
Cool. Well, Matt, we cannot thank you enough. You and Kimber. I know Kimber's back over there kind of making sure you keep it in line. I hope Kimber feels better.
Yes, I hope she feels better.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on here. Hopefully, you and I will get to do something together in the near future, maybe a collaboration on something. But cannot thank you enough.
Yes, thank you.
You have a great night, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
All right, so we went over a little bit tonight, but hey, thank you. Hey, we got 23 still in here. That's great.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for staying a little bit longer with us. Love Matt and Kimber. They have a great channel.
Yes.
So much knowledge there. I mean, so much knowledge. And then the thing is he loves drawing. Anthony likes drawing. He loves reptiles. Anthony loves reptiles. Anthony used to like scuba diving. We're trying to get him more towards that or snorkeling, but just so much in common with them. And plus, he likes horror movie stuff. I like horror movie stuff too. So a lot in common with Matt and Kimber. We love their channel. Great channel. I see Miss Sandy in here. I think I missed saying hey to Sandy earlier. I can't remember, but Mama Sandy's in here too. And she's got to be proud of her son because he does so much good stuff. So talented as well.
Yes, he can draw.
He can flat out draw. Yeah, he can. And I still got the Tampa Aquarium vlogs I never did put out. I found them the other day on looking through some of my files. I was like, I never did put that out. So that's something else that's going to come out down the road. Yeah, Matt and Kimber gave us a couple of years ago a tour of the Tampa Aquarium behind the scenes, and we need to come out with that video. I think I did the one on the snake they had, the rare snake they had.
Yes.
But we do need to, the indigo, was it indigo snake?
Yeah.
But we do need to do the full Tampa Aquarium, which is an awesome aquarium. If you're ever cruising out of Tampa, definitely check that out first.
It's right near.
And it's got a cool place to eat and all that right there. It's a really cool area. But we want to say thank you for coming and staying with us for a night.
Yes, thank you so much.
And in the comments of this video, if you watch us later on, we have a lot of people that go back and watch our videos afterwards. Maybe they're in a different country or just can't catch it live. Comment on the Nassau. You know, what have you done?
Help us, please.
Help us out on Nassau. What have you done? What do we need to do? But we love you guys, and hopefully we'll see you next Thursday night. You have a blessed night.
Thank you. Bye.
What button do I push next, Michelle?
I don't know.
Oh, the one that says exit video live stream.
Yeah.